Vampires, werewolves, teleportation and otakus, all the ingredients to complicate the day of a poor Japanese student. Get your holy water, silver bullets and DVD sets ready. It's time to meet the world's nicest vampire. Welcome to the terrifying and fun world of Bloodlad. In another dimension, the vampire and head of the eastern district of the demon world, Staz Charlie Blood, lives like a normal otaku. Staz explains how in times past, vampires crossed the world of demons and visited the earth, but for him, being a vampire on Earth was more of a disadvantage than anything else, so he decided to live in his own dimension, in his own apartment surrounded by his collection of human paraphernalia, and away from all kinds of responsibility. However, on a day like any other, Staz's second-in-command, Deku, informs him of the capture of a living human girl, Fuyumi Yanagi, who without any explanation, has appeared in the demon world. Excited by the news, Staz orders no one to harm the human, and tells Deku to take her to his apartment to deal with her in person. When he cuts the call, Staz panics from the excitement of meeting a human, so he prepares to meet his new guest. Deku takes Fuyumi to Staz's apartment and leaves her with her boss. Upon meeting Fuyumi, an excited Staz becomes infatuated and engages her in an otaku discussion about series and video games. Meanwhile, Deku and the other members of the gang wait on the street, curious about how the meeting with Fuyumi will end, since they are sure that the vampire will eat the young human. However, Deku and his men are distracted when suddenly, a demonic plant vendor shows up on the streets trying to sell his carnivorous plants. Deku tells him that for any kind of activity, he must request permission from the leader of the territory, which is Staz, so he must withdraw. The plant seller reveals that he is aware of it, and is actually only on site to challenge the leader of the territory. In this way, the plant salesman attacks Staz's men and demands the presence of their leader, while one of his plants breaks formation and goes elsewhere. Deku asks for help from Staz, who has little interest in going to fight, but decides to do so just to impress Fuyumi. Staz easily kills the challenger using his ability known as Zip, which consists of using his telekinetic powers to blow up his enemy's heart. But when he and Deku return to the apartment, they discover horribly that Fuyumi had been killed by one of the rebellious demonic plants. After finding his bones and, strangely, Fuyumi herself in Staz's bed, Deku deduces that he became a ghost. After this revelation, Staz completely loses interest in Fuyumi, who, having lost her humanity, has become another demon, also losing what made her interesting. Mamajiro outlines the repercussions of Staz's departure but makes up for it by making Mimic the new boss, who subsequently transforms into Staz's own image, and they decide to use him as a body double in Staz's absence. Later, at a welcome party for Mimic, Fuyumi wonders if Staz can really resurrect her, but Deku assures her that Staz fulfills his goals. Our heroes cross the black curtain and appear inside Fuyumi's room, and Staz immediately begins to criticize her simple lifestyle, finding that the young woman's room is very different from his. Afterwards, Staz suggests that he enroll as a transfer student at Fuyumi's high school, as he has seen in countless manga, and I think it will be the easiest and most fun option to spend the day. While they leave, the pair meet Fuyumi's annoyed father, who has not only discovered that yesterday she was missing and now comes down from his room with an unknown young man, but Staz sprays him with a mysterious liquid that alters the attitude of the young woman's father, hypnotizing him. Staz reveals to Fuyumi that the liquid is actually his diluted saliva that has the ability to alter the behavior of humans, and explains that it also possesses the property of controlling them. Later, Staz goes into a fit of excitement as he marvels at the human world, and upon arriving at Fuyumi's school, he sprays its entire population with his saliva, thus allowing him to fit in as if he had never left. The two go outside, and although the sun bothers the vampire, it does not affect him in a relevant way. Staz tells Fuyumi that while in the real world, he must keep a low profile as he is now a demon, and today, despite being more powerful than humans, they are no match for humanity's technological advances, so some of the current weapons can defeat even the most powerful demon. At school, Staz continues to sightsee and hypnotize people, and Fuyumi soon realizes that the chemical only creates false memories, at which point her body begins to disappear to her surprise. Staz makes her suck some of her blood, which returns her demonic existence and resolidifies her body, also explaining that from now on they must do that every day or the young woman disappears. Afterward, Staz finds himself strangely uninterested in sucking the blood of humans other than Fuyumi. They later return to Fuyumi's house and discover a woman who calls herself Belle Hydra, an interdimensional treasure hunter. Belle reveals that she is the owner of the Black Curtains, although she does not know how Fuyumi's came to be in the spirit world. She also reveals that she is aware of Staz's doppelganger, to which Staz wrongly deduces that she intends to blackmail him into giving up his territory, before she uses space magic to transport him to a point in the human world using a frame to channel his powers and create dimensional portals, explaining to Fuyumi that she only needs any kind of frame to create them. After Belle threatens to kill Fuyumi if he doesn't get an item from a demon clothing shop for her, Staz decides to accept the mission. Afterwards, Belle explains to her that he has been searching for the person who stole the Black Curtain from her, as it takes a very powerful person to accomplish such a feat, and when he finds him, he will marry that person. Meanwhile, Staz gets into a pointless fight with the powerful shop owner over a demon's underwear, until Belle and Fuyumi show up with the latter explaining that Belle had only been testing Staz in his search for someone with powerful magic. Belle eventually reveals that the only thing capable of bringing Fuyumi back to life is the Book of Human Resurrection, which he had sold to the head of the Western District of the Demon World, Wolf. A shocked Staz reveals that Wolf is his old friend and rival. Having no more business on Earth, our heroes return to the Demon World to retrieve the Book of Resurrection. Back home, Wolf continues to expand his territory within the Demon World while Staz recruits Mamajiro along with Fuyumi to help him track him down. Meanwhile, Belle remains suspicious of Staz and continues to watch him, believing that the vampire knows more than he's letting on. Staz and company board a special demon carriage and end up meeting Wolf on their way to another territorial battle. The two rivals meet again, but prove to be close friends, sharing greetings and jokes of their own, and happy to have found each other after a long time. After a bit of casual rivalry, Staz tries to get Wolf to help him get the book, which the latter considers too frivolous an exploitation of his time as he doesn't know where it is, and searching his vast domain for a book is not something that interests him much. Seeing no alternative, Staz proposes that they have a competition like in the old days, with Wolf betting on helping Staz find the book if Staz wins, and Staz betting on Fuyumi herself if Wolf wins. Wolf doesn't seem too keen on Fuyumi, but accepts anyway. Staz then begins to prepare for a bowling competition, working out a plan for Fuyumi to cheat using her manipulative magic, but Wolf surprises him by announcing that he has a boxing match lined up instead. As he prepares for the fight, Mamajiro tells our hero that it's crazy to fight Wolf, as he is physically stronger and more skilled than him, but Staz looks confident. In the ring, Fuyumi performs the duties of round announcer, which catches Wolf's attention, and he starts to look at her with different eyes. When they both get into the ring, Staz starts the fight with a clinch tactic, but Wolf ends up dominating the rest of the bout, believing that Staz would spend all his magic healing his wounds. However, in a dramatic turn of events, Wolf ends up being the one who exhausts his magic, as Staz had bitten him during their embrace and had been absorbing his magic ever since. As Staz begins to gain the upper hand, Wolf goes into a partial werewolf transformation and begins to patronize Staz's motives for helping Fuyumi, claiming that Staz only uses his vampiric powers when it benefits him. This infuriates Staz to the point of nearly killing Wolf with his zip spell, though the encounter is stopped by a tearful Fuyumi along with Belle, who transports them all to another building. Here Belle reveals that she had the book all along and was simply toying with the group. In the end, Staz and his companions attempt to read the anagrammatic text, to no avail, and the only person able to decipher it is the author of the book, which surprises Staz when he turns to the first page. Staz is terrified when he learns that the author of the book is none other than his older brother and resident of the Acropolis of the Demon World, Staz Blood. Staz's reluctance to visit Braz at Acropolis infuriates Wolf, who forces him to finish what he started while threatening Belle to use his space magic to take Staz to Acropolis. Wolf then kicks Staz into a newly opened portal. However, Belle tells him that the portal wasn't finished, so he won't reach his intended destination, but an intermediate location, which she knows what it is. but withholds the information from her allies. Thus, our vampiric protagonist ends up in Belle's room. In her room, Belle once again tries to test Staz, but he instead questions her true motive. Belle reveals that he has noticed how Staz's magic acts as if it is seeping through a seal, leading him to explain his history with Brazil. Staz explains that, when he was younger, Braz conducted numerous torturous experiments in order to make him more powerful, killing him again and again and again, only to revive him and begin the cycle of experimentation. However, sometime later, the young vampire would discover that his brother was not experimenting on him, but actually trying to kill him, but could only seal his magic, which Braz achieved by firing a bullet directly into his heart, creating a seal that only he can remove. Even with the bullet embedded in his heart, Staz's power has been significantly diminished, so his brother no longer fears him, and let him go about his life. Upon learning this, Belle finally confirms that Staz is not the magic thief, as he simply wasn't powerful enough to steal his black curtain, but this only makes him more curious about Staz's true power. Belle then tries to provoke Staz by locking him in his space grid room until he promises him that he will make Braz remove the seal. Staz agrees and claims that when the seal is removed he will use all his magical power and actually steal the space magic from him. Afterwards, Belle invites Staz out for sushi and begins to fall in love with him against her better judgment. Meanwhile, in the demon world, Fuyumi's body begins to fade once again, prompting Wolf to rush her to the mad scientist Frankenstein. Finally, Belle takes Staz to Acropolis and decides to cause some trouble to force him to break the magic seal. Staz marches straight to his brother's castle to challenge him, but when Belle retreats, the vampire abandons his brave man facade and hides in the forest, so he decides to sneak into Braz's castle undetected, but ends up being caught by his younger sister and warden of the demon world Liz Blood, who had disowned him for his treachery and imprisons him in the prison known as Liz's toy box. Inside the cell, Staz discovers a suspicious button in his cell which, when pressed, activates a challenge option and opens a passageway to a mysterious room. After being led to another room, Staz meets up again with Liz, who explains that an inmate can get out any time he wants, as long as he can defeat his zombie minions in battle, a feat no inmate has yet achieved. Liz's zombies easily defeat Staz and return him to his cell, although he continues to push the button and defy them repeatedly with the same result. Meanwhile, Franken deduces that Fuyumi's condition can be stabilized with a dose of Staz blood. In addition, he explains to Wolf that ghosts have the unique ability to become a single species of demon by absorbing their magic, deducing that if Fuyumi absorbs all of Staz's magic she may be able to rival another demon. Back at Acropolis, Braz learns of Staz's arrival and the Blood family is reunited, with the former refusing to help Staz. After a little sibling rivalry involving Liz's envy of Braz's preference for Staz, Braz proposes a deal to Staz. Meanwhile, Belle reveals to an angry Wolf Franken's hidden intention to use Fuyumi to fight a failed experiment called Artificial Demon No. 9, Akin Papradon, a monstrosity he created using body parts from other demons. However, in search of stronger parts, Akim escaped from Franken's lab and began hunting demons. Wolf makes a deal with Franken that if he defeats Akim, he will return Fuyumi to being a normal ghost,